you have to hit rock bottom so you know, oh, I can only go up from here. You have to lose everything while also having a little bit of success at the start. A lot of people found my TikTok. A lot of my friends supported me. Like, I'm very grateful for people that didn't understand what I was doing, but they still watched me. Being accountable means that you have to show your losses because people are going to expect it. So when you lose, it has to be a loss that you should take. I just want to scale. I want to just be the very best at what I do. I want to have a certain level of success that is like disturbing to some people.
Today we're fortunate enough to be joined with TradeMubz, which is really, really special because we were responsible for your first ever payout.
Yeah, my first payout.
From memory. And we've been a part of his journey from when you were finishing your A-levels.
Yeah.
Till now. So tell me something, first and foremost. Being profitable at such a young age, and I don't mean that in a disrespectful way, but you're at the start of your trading journey, if you like. What's that experience been like for you?
It gives you a weird perception on money and success. Like, I was working a job from a young age. From as soon as I turned 17, I was in McDonald's. I was working the fryers. I haven't talked about this before on my TikTok. And it was quite difficult for me to just go from that to being like a trader who's actually making money. Then I was like, I'm going to quit my job. But then you go through those tough periods. Because when you're profitable, you don't always have every single day, every single week you're making money.
Mm-hmm.
It's more like your account's in drawdown. You have to get another account, or you're slowly building it out of it, or you blow the account. These things affect you a lot when you're not got like a certain income. With trading, it's not guaranteed, of course. Nothing's guaranteed. But with a job, you're more likely to be able to get paid. And making money at a young age is great. Of course, you can buy things, you can spend things. I'm not financially literate at the start. I was spending my money left, right, and center. I was so obsessed with scaling. I bought 800k in funded accounts the next day after my payout.
So that's where it all went.
It went a bit south because I wasn't correctly managing myself.
Okay.
You can manage accounts well, but managing yourself hard because I can make 16k today. But then,
so tell me about that. You touched on something very, very interesting there. So your first payout, how many accounts were you managing comparatively to directly afterwards, and what effect did that have on you?
My first payout was on the first ever account I passed with you guys,
okay.
And I had no accounts. I only had evals. And then later on, I passed another 3 accounts of the same size from you and another 2 firms. And that was like the breaking point for me. I was like, I'm making it. And then slowly you lose the accounts and you're like, what's going on? And you think, okay, I've breached. And then you can just blow the account because you're like, oh, I've breached, but it might not even be a breach. So these types of things, they weigh heavy on your mind. But yeah.
What and with that in mind, from going from trading with a couple of firms to more firms from that point, what would you say is more challenging as a trader? Following 4 or 5 different firms' rules, because every firm has different rules, or managing your own internal psychology, or are they both equally as important?
See, with psychology especially, I think a lot of people use it as a way to cope a little bit. To say, oh, my psychology is the reason I failed. But then there's a lot of other reasons that affect your psychology. So I like to say, okay, my financial isn't the greatest right now, so I haven't got enough money, so that's why I'm blowing my accounts. It's not just psychology, because then I feel like you're never going to get to the root of the problem. And with me, it was always like the rules of the firms were quite similar. It was more so I made one mistake and it was on all the accounts. And then that was like, okay, I've lost everything. That's why I feel like it's important to trade each firm separate. That's very important for me, especially.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
You touched on something else which is very interesting there as well. Because we see the term psychology be bandied around quite a lot in trading.
Yeah.
But by definition, psychology is so broad that it doesn't actually give someone clarity on the root cause of the problem, as you've said. So parts of psychology you've touched on: financial management, managing different accounts, whatever else is going on for you. Did your wife shout at you in the morning, or your girlfriend, or something like that? Did you get a nasty bill? There's many different things which can affect a trader personally.
Yeah.
For you, what has helped you going through that first initial low, i.e. losing all of those accounts, to get back to a point where you're now funded, you're now taking payouts again? What tools or methods did you use?
That's a great question, actually. You have to hit rock bottom so you know, oh, I can only go up from here. You have to lose everything while also having a little bit of success at the start. The success at the start gives you that glimpse of hope that you can actually achieve it later on. And blowing my accounts meant to me that I can get accounts. And then that led me to continuing trying. And obviously I had a lot of friends. I had my cousin, all these people that have been through the same things I've been through. So a lot of traders call it the cannon event, losing all your accounts, losing your first funded account. And obviously I was fortunate enough to get my payout on my first account, but a lot of people it's not like that. So I feel like, because I was only a year in, I'm only a year in now, and I've taken a lot of payouts, it's kind of, I'm disillusioned because I feel like I've got to the point where I've made money quicker than a lot of people have.
Yeah.
So it gives you an ego. But then obviously in the markets it humbles that ego. So then that's where you lose the accounts. It's not because you're a bad trader. Everyone has bad periods, but I don't like my wins to let my wins define me. I let the losses define me and how I manage myself in the losing weeks and everything.
Don't worry, you don't need to sit like an owl if you don't want to.
Nah, I need to be looking good.
So we talked a bit about profitability, a bit about your attitude on psychology. Talk to me a bit about what forms of technical and fundamental analysis you use and your trading style and what's given you that edge.
I use top-down analysis. So I start with the higher time frame, normally the weekly time frame, and then I go down and I mark out my key areas. So everyone says, oh, my order block's the best, my fair value gap's the best. But honestly, whatever works for you is what works for you. So I found out that imbalances worked well for me, and normally trading the displacement out of them, rather than just hoping it's going to hit that zone. I normally mark out strong highs, strong lows in the market, and I aim for them, target them, got my draws. And with my trading, it's a psychology model more so than anything else, because it's very easy on our psychology, as I might say, because our stop losses are larger, so we have that breathing room. Breathing room is very important. My mentor always talks about it. You can be right about the bias, but you can be wrong about the trade entry. So you can easily lose on a winning idea, but we don't like losing when we know our bias is right. Bias is very important for us. It's basically where we think it's going to go in the day, where we think price is going in the week, or even the month. But the month, it can change quite a bit, so we don't end up doing that. I normally like trading swing trades, but it's normally intra-swing. So I enter with like a 20 to 40 pip stop loss, and I target a decent draw 80 to 100 pips away, going for like a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 normally target. And that's given me consistency. I don't go for extreme RR. Sometimes I have hit 1 to 5s, 1 to 7s, but I want a consistent equity curve. Because if your equity curve is like wibbly and wobbly, you're going to be in drawdown one day, then you're going to be at a profit split. But then after that profit split, you're going to have the 10 losses in a row. You're going to blow the account. It's not sustainable, I would say. Whatever works for you. I feel like your model's got to tie in with psychology. So everyone says my psychology is bad, but your model could be the reason for your psychology being bad. Everyone finds it easy to say, oh, don't change your model, don't strategy hop. But strategy hopping actually made me more profitable because I saw what didn't work for me. And what might work for someone, say, you see all these traders hitting great trades, but then you don't see their losses anyway. But then you see another trader and it's like small, consistent. That's what I want to be, because I'm trying to treat trading like a business, a job, consistently making money, rather than I might get paid like massive in the month, the next month you don't see me.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because you see the cert, but you don't see the spending behind the cert.
Mm-hmm.
So a 20k payout, if the cost of achieving that was 50,000 in evals, who's actually up?
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on something, not what you said, but how you said it.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about having a mentor, and when you were discussing around strategy, you used the word "we" quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How important is having a community to you?
Mm-hmm.
How has that helped your journey? And what have been the disadvantages of being a part of a community during your time so far?
At the start, as a beginner trader, it's very lonely. So it's nice having people that are going through the same things as you. They're working a job. They're trying to make something of themselves, the same age as you. And it's nice to see people like making progress. The one downside to this is you see them taking a trade. They're saying, oh, I'm in EU buys. But then you're saying, I'm seeing EU sells. So do you take the same trade as them, or do you take your idea? You're going to take the same trade as them because they trade the same model as you. So this is like negative as you're on your psychology. You're always going to doubt yourself. So I've always made it a big deal that I'm never active in the chat when it's trading hours, because if I see one guy saying this, it's going to influence my bias. And that's the worst thing to do because you're going to be struggling. It's very great to have a community. However, it's how you use it is very important. You can use the community to benefit you in terms of meeting great people. You can discuss ideas going into the week. But on the day, it has to be you in the charts. Because at the end of the day, it's your capital. You're the author of your own capital. You're the author of your own trades. So you can't let someone else dictate what you do on the chart.
Makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect sense. And with that in mind, how has that affected your... No, let me do that again because I don't want to smile whilst asking this. With that in mind, how has trading and experiencing a different world, another world, if you will, which is online, and you're producing profits online, how has that changed your attitude within your own peers from school, from college, from people that you've grown up with? Because as you said, you're by yourself on the charts. Also, not many people your age are making $5,000, $10,000 a month. That's pretty unheard of, right?
It's crazy.
So how's that affected that for you?
It's been quite isolating at the start. A lot of people found my TikTok. A lot of my friends supported me. Like, I'm very grateful for people that didn't understand what I was doing, but they still watched me. They still reposted my videos. I'm very grateful for them. A lot of people in my school, trading is one of those things that everyone wants to try at least once. I feel like a lot of like young boys, they don't know what they're doing. They're not guided. So they end up either going and trying to go building, trade school, or they actually just learn to trade. And I found a lot of similar guys from my school that did the same thing. It's fun at the same time, but as I've said, it's going to influence what you do on the charts. So I don't try and make trading friends that much. Obviously, as an influencer, you're more likely to meet great people. Like, I've met great people. Some of my greatest, closest friends have been through trading TikTok. However, I feel like having friends that aren't part of the trading scene is very important as well, because you can detach. And as you've touched on before, detachment is very important, because then you can never escape that life if you're always in that loop of it.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine for a moment that someone you care about has to make a significant amount of money within a year, doesn't know how to trade, they don't even know how to click buy or sell today, okay? And they come to you and they go, Mubz, listen, I need this money. I don't know how to get it. What 3 pieces of advice are you giving them above and beyond anything else to get them to that point of profitability?
Okay. First of all, get a job, because you can't let your capital restrict you. Capital, having no money is going to restrict you a lot in trading. You've got to have enough money. You've got to understand that without a job, you're never going to see fast progress. And as someone who got funded and profitable in 6 months, I think I'm one of the best people that can talk about doing it fast. And what I did was I had multiple accounts and I rotated them, and I didn't risk loads, because everyone says risk 3%, risk the max daily drawdown. You're gonna pass and make loads of money. However, no one ever looks at the downside. As you said, the 50,000 in losses. A lot of people can say, oh, I passed 4 funded accounts today, but they didn't talk about the 18 they blew. And as a person who doesn't have a job, you can't be in the same situation. You're gonna have to take it much slower. And I feel like as a trader who's online especially, you're accountable for everything, but then you're also gonna compare yourself to, say, traders that are much better than you. But then you're like, I've got similar followers to them, so I should be on the same level as them. All these things mess with you. And the best advice I would give is just get a job, learn a strategy, and if it works for your psychology the best, stick with it. Get a mentor. And then the final thing is understand that good things take time. A degree takes 3-4 years. Why are you expecting your trading journey to pay off in the first year, the first couple of months? Sure, it's worked out for some, but the majority, we've got to look at the majority of the population. If 1% of people make it, you can't look at the 1% as a whole made it in 1 month. It took 99% of the 1% ages to pass a funded account, ages to get a payout. And you see the one guy online posting, I've passed now, I've passed in 3 months. It's going to disillusion you with reality. And trading is one of those things that it works best when you let it work for you. You can't, the law of attraction, I would say, you've got to accept it's going to come to you. You can't just keep on chasing and chasing, because the more you chase the profits, the more they're going to leave you. You got to accept that you're going to lose. You're going to accept you're going to win. Because if you can't accept losses, you can't accept the wins either. It's quite a cutthroat way of thinking, but I feel like that's benefited me the most.
Since the launch of our new affiliate program last month, QT affiliates have earned over $40,000. And here's the thing, none of that came from actually trading. These are simply people who shared QT funded with their friends, family, or followers, and in doing so, got paid for it. And this month, we're taking it to the next level. We are launching the QT funded affiliate competition with some serious prizes on the line. For our 3rd place winner, you will get a $200K Prime account, as well as $250 in cash. For a 2nd place winner, you will get an iPhone 17 Pro. And for our 1st place winner, you will get $3,500 in cash. So if you haven't joined the affiliate program yet, head to your QT dashboard, open the affiliate tab, sign up, and start referring. Because with QT funded, there's more than one way to get paid.
I'm going to throw a little analogy out to you based on what we were discussing.
Okay.
When the camera wasn't off, and you were talking about your routine and what you were doing when you're unprofitable compared to profitability. Mm-hmm. So you might or might not remember when Anthony Joshua fought Ruiz, and Ruiz beat him the first time round. And I'll never forget the second fight. Anthony Joshua came in, he didn't even have a fade, and you could tell Ruiz had been partying and living it up for 9 months.
The Rocky lifestyle.
And he got humbled.
Yeah.
In trading, the market, from what I understand, can be a cruel mistress.
It doesn't take any prisoners.
Doesn't take any prisoners. You mentioned when you were unprofitable, you were doing everything right. You had a morning routine. Firstly, what I'd like to understand from you is what was your routine? What were your cornerstones to success then? Mm-hmm. And talk to me about that small little devil that comes into the back of your mind when you wake up in the morning and says, I don't need to do X, Y, Z today, or I'll do it later, and what that feels like. Tell me a bit about that.
Okay. What I did at the start was I established my morning prayer. That's probably the most important thing. And then you can start your day with eating breakfast. I never go gym in the morning. I always went at nighttime. I think that was one of my things that I just couldn't change. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't one of those guys that was staring at the charts from the first second. I like to get something going first, make sure my bed was tidy. It's very important to make your environment around you very clean. And then I just got ready to start working. I was working on the weekends at McDonald's when I was unprofitable, and I slowly just started understanding trading more. I was dedicated. From July 10th, 2024, for like 3 months, I didn't leave the house. I was fully just locked in on my trading journey. And then I started posting TikToks, and I gained traction in a way that it held me accountable. I had to be that guy. I had to have the routine. I had to show my trades, my wins, my losses. So being accountable means that you have to show your losses because people are going to expect it. So when you lose, it has to be a loss that you should take. But it's very easy to take losses and be like, I shouldn't have taken that. But with trading and posting, you've got to understand that you have to post everything. And that affected me a decent amount as well, because I want to be genuine.
But on that note, did you find being held accountable through social media enforced a higher degree of discipline?
Absolutely, because I was telling people what to do. So I can't be a hypocrite. I've got to do the same things. I've got to do more. And if I'm telling people this is what you should do, if I'm doing less than them or doing the same as them, then I'm going to be in the same position. I want to be the best. And to be the best, you've got to go leaps and bounds beyond everyone. You can't be arrogant. You got to understand that ego is the enemy. However, it also helps you strive for a lot of success. And especially at a young age, you're going to have a little ego anyway. Oh, I'm making money. It takes these guys weeks and days to make this amount. The ego, you can either let it affect you, or you can either just let it be your best strength. It can be your biggest weakness or your greatest strength, I would say.
Makes sense. A very close friend of mine, in 2019, I moved into an apartment block, and we were talking about living up high, and I showed you a photo earlier today. I moved into an apartment block, and I moved from East London to West London.
Yeah.
And I felt at the time up here.
On top of the world. Yeah.
On top of the world. The day that I moved in, and I met some of my neighbours, and I saw where they'd got to and what they'd achieved building businesses and selling them for 9 figures, billionaires, multi-millionaires and billionaires in said building. And as much as bright, shiny things aren't the be-all and end-all, let's be honest, everybody likes them. So going down to the car park and seeing there was a Hermes Bugatti Chiron 1 of 1, yeah, and seeing that and knowing where I was in life in terms of my understanding of what success looked like, my perception from that point was completely warped because it humbled me as to what was achievable. Again, as much as material items aren't the root of all happiness and so on and so forth, is an interesting barometer of success. E.g. payouts, profitability is an interesting barometer of success. But I suppose the true core in life lies down in happiness and a sense of peace.
Yeah.
Because you could be a trader making $3,000 a month and be super duper happy compared to a trader making $10,000 a month and being super duper miserable, who really is having a better time. And part of that is down to whether you meet success or failure, disaster or triumph, you treat them both the same. Never ever let success get to your head, never let failure get to your heart. And within trading space, and from what I've seen from people who achieve a degree of profitability like yourself, I hear an element of calmness around the markets. Have you always been like that?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
At the start, you're jittery. You're thinking, if I lose focus for 1 second, I'm gonna miss it. That's why I don't trade the 1 minute, because I feel like you go to the toilet and then your setup's played out, and you're like, oh, I'm not in. However, with the way I trade, it's a more laid back approach. However, you do a lot of planning, but on the day, all you need to do is execute. It's a lot less of that stress around it, and that gives you that peace. And you know that if I lose, I'll win the next one. With a high win rate model, it's very important to understand that a loss is rarer than a win most of the time. So you can take a loss and be like, okay, that's fine, I'm wrong. And you have to accept that you can be wrong. You shouldn't cope saying, oh, this area might have got hit, that's why I shouldn't have taken it. A lot of people say journaling this, journaling that. I do understand it's very important to journal your thoughts and your emotions. Journaling your trades when it gets to a point of profitability, when you're already profitable, it doesn't help you as much as people say, because it's a good selling point for everyone. Oh yeah, my journal is amazing, it's going to help you. However, it's not as helpful as just sticking to your plan and thinking, if this trade played out and won, would I be upset about it? Would I be happy? If I took this trade and it lost, would I be upset? Would I be happy? Then you can understand that I shouldn't have taken it. Taking a trade based on whether or not the technicals were right, it's a discretional model. So you're going to be discretionally thinking, okay, I shouldn't have taken that. I did take that. You're always going to have like these things that it doesn't benefit you. You're going to lose. You got to accept that you're going to lose so you can actually take the wins as well.
That makes sense. Forgetting all the other props for a second.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you're in a QT office in the QT building.
Yeah.
What's your relationship been like with our business, and how have you found trading with us?
I like to be treated like your friend rather than just like another contractor. Because obviously as traders we're contractors, and with QT I always felt like it was kind of like a family. We were all making progress together. And for my first payout, I was trading Ascendex before you guys even migrated over, and I was struggling. I was blowing accounts, but I wasn't blowing accounts because the firm was bad. It was the prices were so good. It was enticing for me to just go for it, and it taught me a lot. Buying a funded account, a slower size one, it teaches you a lot. And with QT especially, the pricing and the actual people, that they're great. So it makes sense for me to trade with them.
And what would you want to see from us as a business to improve your trading experience over the course of the next few months? If anything. We can use that. That was fine. That was fucking great. So what's next for you? You're profitable now. Are you still working at McDonald's?
No, I quit before I got my first payout. Oh, as soon as I passed my first QT, I was like...
Is that something that you'd recommend, like leaving your job?
My circumstances were different because I saved a lot. And I wasn't just working like that. I was reselling from a young age. I had that business mindset from a young age, so I always wanted to make something work. And I understood that I could only become a good trader if I had income. So but before I quit, I had 4 50K funded accounts, all evals. I passed my first funded account, and I was close to passing my second QT. So I was about to be 100K funded of QT. And then I was like, these guys don't treat me well. I wake up at 4 in the morning, work 5 a.m. to 2 p.m., 9-hour shifts on the weekend. Whereas I can pass a funded account, and I know that I can be profitable if I just put a little bit more effort towards it. The thing is, the job didn't affect me as much as people may think. I was getting no sleep. But when you want to make something work so badly, you're more likely to just give it your all. And I feel like neglecting your sleep is one of the worst things you can do, but it's also one of the best things I did, because it kind of gave me that chance to give my all to something. And trading was the first thing that I found it gave me purpose, it gave me direction. Direction is so important with your trading journey, with everything, because it gives you not only a purpose, but it gives you something to look forward to every day.
It's interesting you mention that, because in other forms of business that I have done, I had a specific time and I'd sleep for 8 hours a night. Ever since we've been doing QT and Ascendex, I've been getting 4 hours sleep a night max. And I actually now force myself to wake up at about 4 a.m. So I go to sleep at midnight, I wake up at 4 a.m. just so I can have that hour to myself, because I know from 5 onwards it's work time.
You're disconnected, basically.
Yeah, because as a human being, it's important to have time which is for you. And as, without meaning to sound too patronizing or condescending, as you get older, have a wife, have employees, maybe responsibilities, children, you'll find that your time is demanded off of you to be in service for others. But if you're not in service to yourself, you're going to come unstuck very, very quickly. So having that you time is so important. But regardless, I digress. Having such a passion whereby you actually want to do it, you're excited to do it, and you have that drive and energy. you don't feel tired. Like you might feel worn out, but you don't feel tired.
You don't get sick of it.
No.
You always want more.
And what's next for you?
I just want to scale. I want to just be the very best at what I do. I want to have a certain level of success that is like disturbing to some people. I don't want to sound like an egotistical guy, but I feel like you got to be delusional and a little bit full of ego to try and make it, because you see everyone, they're doing lots of different things. But with you got to focus on what you have to do. And I know what I'm doing and I know what I have to do. So I'm going to get it done. And that's probably the most important thing. You have direction at a young age. You can do anything you want. And I know I've got a young audience, so it's quite nice to be able to say this to them. If you just commit yourself to writing something down that you're going to do and just doing it, you're going to go leaps and bounds ahead of your peers, and you're never going to look back. You're always going to think, I'm looking forward now. And a lot of people, when they're successful, they look down on people. I always feel like the more payouts you get, the less you look down and the more you're looking up or looking forwards. But you got to have remain level-headed in every situation, because that's how you become like a calm trader. You're calm to drawdown. You're calm to the winning periods, because because you understand that I'm where I'm meant to be.
Yeah.
It's that purpose, as you were talking about, the direction.
Totally agree with you. Only one thing that I want to pull you up on, and forgive me, but I'm just curious about this. You mentioned about people looking down on others. That's one experience I haven't come across in my own life personally. Is generally, this is a broad generalization here, right? You've got people who are mildly successful here, people who are successful here, people who are wildly successful here. The ones here and here may tend to look down on people, but anyone who's achieved that upper echelon of being the absolute best that they can be, I tend to see a degree of humility with them, because they've got such a level of comfort and self-assurance that I'm good. I am the best. They don't have a need. They don't feel the need to prove it to anybody.
You don't need to seek validation.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes.
Because all these successful people, if they're that successful, why are they shoving it down my throat?
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense. It's like, oh, I made 10K today, but then I'm the best. Like, you don't have to tell me you're the best. You don't have to tell me you're the best looking person in the world. It's just evident. It's not one of those things you have to force. If you have to force to be liked or force to do anything, it's not the truth.
There's something fundamentally wrong.
Yeah, you're just faking it. And it's not faking it till you make it, because you're pretending to be someone you're not. And that's what you should never do, because you're never going to be happy with where you are.
Well, I personally feel like I've had a really enjoyable time talking to you today. You got some real gems.
Thank you.
And I hope that our audience got some gems out of that as well. And I want to thank you so much for coming down today. We've got the trading tournament going on outside our first ever live trading event. So if you can hear some background noise, it's that.